Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is a pleasure to have you here, whether you're joining in right now or you'll be coming on later on. Greetings, greetings, you are welcome. So, welcome to our first official live for Affairs of the Heart podcast. Of course, we all know this year has indeed presented us with many challenges. Everything from romantic relationships have been tested, friendships have been tested, family support, and just the ability for, togetherness. Definitely our finances and our careers have been tested, and just our overall self worth. And so, because of all these different touches that we've received and not being able to put that touch out or to reach out or to really feel the presence of others, near us and around us, here we are. Looking for outlets, looking for ways to really pick up the pieces and carry on. And so that is really why I created this podcast. It's really been um, a dream, a goal of mine. I started to entertain the idea of having my own podcast. I would say about 5 to 7 years now. I tend to shy away from public speaking and different things like that. So I was a bit stubborn about it, but I've really felt the push recently to just go ahead and do it. And I thought, why not start right here at the end of something that seems to have been just tumultuous and never ending, and a new hope, a new horizon that promises, as we hope, better things to come. And so, here is this podcast where you're able to go ahead and really just um, peel back the layers. Think of yourself as an onion. We're going to go ahead and peel off the exterior, the seemingly bad part, and really get to the core and be able to be useful, be flavorful, be the spice of life, if you will. And so I encourage you to come on this journey with me. Um, you know, just the political unrest, I think, and different social issues that came up this year were enough to really test our mental health and just our feeling of belonging, right? And so I wanted to create a space where we could feel like we belong and could feel like we could openly share and feel supported. Um, I think sometimes in our day to day, we don't make time for that or we don't know how to be vulnerable. So here is a platform that allows you to be that. I will never force anyone to turn your videos on. I'll never force anyone to share if you don't wish to. However, if you do want to, feel free. That's what this is here for. Um, I want this to be an outlet, um, kind of like your audio journal, per se, that you could really just let it out, have a reference point where you can, touch back and kind of see where you were and your growth as you go along, and how you improve and just use the negatives as building blocks to get over the walls that will come up or that have already come up, and yeah, just be your best self. So we are going on a journey of mental strength building, mental health and healing, and just true overall wellness. We're dedicated to exploring healing through self awareness and just making us more effective and impactful in everything that we do going forward. We're going to talk about, everything from the financial aspect, credit repair, how to really just take hold of our financial futures and plan and set goals in place and the action steps necessary to get them done. It's easier, I think, a little bit to do it on a platform where we're doing it together, where we're accomplishing, I think, a bit more when we're all kind of getting those tools and resources in our hands. And then we can go ahead and have something to, again, reference back to. So we're not having to kind of repeat or revisit the same things over and over, um, but really able to just share. All right. So, who am I? What qualifies me? How dare I talk about all these different things? So, let me introduce myself officially. My name is Latoya Porter. I am a mother. I'm a what I call myself a lifetime student, meaning that I have studied many different topics. I have made it my business to know something about a lot of things. I won't say that I know everything, but I am an avid reader and I'm just committed to learning daily and continually learning because that's how we grow. And I truly endeavor to keep growing. All right, so I invite you to come on the same type of journey where you're challenging yourself daily and reading and researching and just growing. I'm also an entrepreneur. You know, I've tried my hand in different businesses. Um, I would say that's truly just been my heart. I actually majored in business, and I've also led into the education field. I'm also truly enthralled with the field of psychology and currently um, looking to further my graduate studies in psychology. And so that is it on the educational side or professional side, but truly on a personal note, my experiences, I would say life experiences has truly validated and made this more real. I've always believed that you can't talk about or advise on what you've never gone through or experienced. And so I do believe experience to be the best teacher. And I've definitely had quite a few experiences and wish to share, not just to make others aware, but to also just equip us with the tools to navigate those things when they do come along and to um, just find tools and ways to avoid the things that maybe we don't necessarily have to experience or go through. So yeah, we're going to talk about the financial aspect, the family aspect, um, goals and how to set them, how to put action steps to them, both financial and just everything that it takes to live and feel secure and to truly set yourselves up to be content and lead a positive life. All right. So again, welcome to Affairs of the Heart podcast. This is our first official episode, and it is entitled The Setup to Step Up. So I see that we have a few people on. If you do want to um, go ahead and type your name and email in the chat. I definitely want to follow up and touch bases later on and get any resources that we use here today to you. Um, so let's get into the journey. So, part of this journey is I encourage you to take notes. I encourage you to journal every day, um, to get on a spiritual journey or a spiritual discovery and understanding yourself. It is going to require that you put in the work. Like, no one can do that for you. It is going to take a personal commitment to not only show up and being honest with yourself, but to really put in the time and effort that's necessary um, to the process and have that man or woman in the mirror experience where you're challenging yourself to get past where you are and just evolve and grow. So let's get into it. I'm going to introduce us to our emotional compass. Um, when we talk about affairs of the heart, some of the questions that I've had with this whole um, podcast idea was, why talk about the heart? What's the whole point? If you're looking to talk about self improvement, why not just go directly into the topics, such as the financial aspect and the different tools? And truly, when you get down to it, the heart of the matter is the heart. The heart is all that really matters. Why do I say that? The founding pillar or foundation for this podcast was actually Proverbs 4:23. I'm an avid reader, as I stated, and one of the tools and the resources that I go to often that has really helped me throughout the years is the Bible. No particular um, version, but the ones that I've read that have been very helpful and insightful for me are the King James Version, the Amplified Version, and Message versions of the Bible. So Proverbs 4:23 actually specifically speaks about the heart. It says to guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Everything starts, flows through, and ends with the heart, right? Life, we actually don't have it unless our heart is beating. It's the very pulse of us. And so everything that we do flows through that. The posture of our heart really determines how we process events, people, time, and things. And so it's definitely important to understand and work on the heart, you know, and understanding that self love is the utmost tool. Because when you love yourself, when you value you, you're going to be mindful of the things that you allow in your space, the things that you allow in your region, and the things that you allow to really alter your future and your destiny. And so the heart is truly the core. I implore you to dive into the book of Proverbs, number one, because it is an awesome book. It's a great teacher on just how to operate as an individual, but really just get a deeper understanding for this particular verse, Proverbs 4, verse 23. All right. And we'll get into our emotional compass. This one is the emotional wheel. We'll get back to this one. I'm going to jump over to the emotional compass first. You can always Google this emotional compass, look for this one specifically because just this model is great and it really just drives home everything that we want to cover and kind of touch on throughout the podcast. So, there is an up and down side for everything, right? And it touches based on what impacts it. So even things that seem to be on the negative side can actually work in a positive way. And I'm going to demonstrate what that means here in a moment. So the emotional compass actually goes from numbers 1 through 12, right? Going around like a clock, which makes absolute sense. So one, of course, is your lows, right? And 12 is your high. When you're fully centered, however, you want to kind of end up somewhere in in here, right? That's centered. As straight as my line is, you know what I mean? Centered. And so being centered can have you a bit in the negative or positive. But again, What makes you centered is how you're utilizing um, these emotions or thoughts and feelings to your advantage. All right. So let's say we started out and we're saying, okay, I'm checking my emotional compass today. I had some experiences, I had some thoughts or feelings that have me in this space where I'm feeling pride, confidence, and some level of arrogance. Even though this is a level one, it can be a positive thing, can be a positive emotion. It can be a driver, something that helps you to move towards a goal, right? It can be something that helps you to feel good about yourself because you have some level of pride. Some people automatically relate that into confidence, right? As having pride. However, pride does have a negative side to it, right? If you're so proud or full of self, you are not now being considerate of others. You're loving yourself, but if you're giving off a negative energy to others, you're not loving in the sense of really considering everyone around you. Love should work in a circular way. It shouldn't just be you. You should be able to give it and receive it. And so anything that prevents you from having that reciprocation in the relationship is not necessarily a positive thing. So it's important to pay attention to this. This is where a lot of people get stuck because then it pushes them into arrogance, which no one wants to be friends or be around an arrogant person. They're usually the shunned one, right? And so we want to be mindful of that. The other part, we go into number two on the wheel. It gets us into jealousy, worry, and vigilance. All again have their place. However, they are mostly negative, right? Because when we allow jealousy to take effect, it can cause us to worry. A feeling of vigilance may get us to a point of feeling vindictive, feeling like we are starting to get, I don't know, taking revenge for things or just taking everything personal. Um, the only positive side of this, I would say, maybe in career, if it motivates you to do more because you see someone else doing well, then maybe that's a positive thing. But if it's getting you to a point where you're now, envious of another person and even wanting to somehow uh, harm them because of what they have or cause disruption in their process and their journey, that is definitely a negative thing. You want to be in a space where you can be happy for others and feel motivated by their accomplishments and wanting to seek out how to accomplish it and go through the process to get where they are as well. But you never want it to get down to where you're being vindictive and planning to almost trample someone's journey. And so, yes, these are things to be mindful of. They are on the negative side. And if we are aware and manage it well, it can actually work to our benefit. Okay, moving on to number three on the compass, anger, hate, and despair. Not much positive there. All of those are destructive thoughts and feelings. They lead into even more negative spaces. If you ever find yourself at number three, you want to truly work your way around the compass and get to a more positive emotion. And again, we'll talk about different strategies and things in a moment, how to work through these. Number four is fear, confusion, and cowardice. This is again where we start to lead into those depressive states. This is where people start to lose motivation towards life, start to really just not have a feeling of goal and purpose. And again, something we want to quickly recognize and get out of if we need assistance, if there's a support system, family, friends, spiritual leader, or professionals, right? Like psychiatry, psychology, definitely seek those out. I will also give us some resources to use for that as well, as we go through and grow together. But again, let's be honest with ourselves. Locate yourself on the compass. What number are you at? You want to document what events, what thoughts, what feelings, what lack, what things might have you in that space. You just want to be honest and document that, so we can work through it um, together. Or you can use some of the resources, like I said, to work your way around the emotional wheel and get into a more positive space. Number 5, sorrow, misery, resignation. Also negative. I don't necessarily see a space where I could say there's much of a positive in that. However, I feel that it is important to say that your thoughts and your feelings are very valid. It is okay to own those feelings. It's not necessary to feel bad about where you are in that moment. There may be and there must be something that's contributing to that. And that's what we want to uncover and find strategies and ways to manage them. So these thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't get the best of us, don't control us, and don't keep us bound and in that space. In any one day, it is possible to feel several numbers on this wheel. Different things will trigger different reactions and feelings in us. However, we don't want to stay in a negative space consistently or all the time. We definitely want to manage that. And that's where we know we now have emotional intelligence, is when we're able to effectively do that. All right. So now we talk about despondency and depression, right? That's the low, number 6. When you get to this point, from allowing these different things to kind of grow and escalate, that's what brings us here. And a lot of people end up getting stuck here. But again, you don't want to be stuck in any one spot. If you start to feel this, find something positive to read, something positive to listen to, something positive to physically do, and try to just get yourself out of there. What I've found to help when I get to those low points, and I've had those, I have to be honest, I've had those times. There have been experiences in life, personal relationships, even pressure from work, um, different things that cause you to get in that space of just feeling that way. And what has helped is, working out, um, doing yoga, doing um, different meditations, going for a nice long stroll, a nice long walk, just to kind of get the blood and oxygen flowing again. Just to remind you, put your hand on your chest, feel your heart, and just know that, okay, I'm alive. Um, I want to be alive. I want to do something positive with my time here, and just, find your center again, and that gratitude of being allowed another day on this earth, being allowed health and the ability to walk even. Um, and when that gratitude sets in, it tends to pull you out of that space. It helps. It's helped me tremendously. Um, and so if it gets to a point where it's even deeper than that, you're not able to pull out of it, that point, I definitely say it's important to get the professional help necessary. There's absolutely nothing wrong with counseling. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having to get on professionally prescribed medication if that's what's necessary to keep you healthy, right? Mentally and emotionally. All right, so it kind of starts to get lighter from here, right? Recognize the colors that they kind of go into these darker regions, right? It starts to get light, but then we're still kind of not in the best space. So 7 is shame, emptiness, and guilt. Um, Not what we want to be feeling at any point. This is why I always recommend journaling and goal setting every day. Just sitting with yourself and setting your intentions and say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish today. This is how I'll do it. Set small goals. Maybe your goal will be going grocery shopping today. It's still an accomplishment. It's something to mention. Once you get it done and you check it off the list, it actually makes you feel good. You got something accomplished. I'm going to do laundry. I'm going to fold clothes. I'm going to hang clothes. Whatever your thing is for the day, write it down and give yourself credit for getting it done, right? These are great ways to build your self esteem and your self worth and just really feeling like you're working towards goals. So you could set the small ones and then you could start setting the bigger ones, right? As your mental and emotional tolerance will allow. Um, if you're feeling ashamed about, let's say, your financial status, your financial situation, something may have happened that you're like, man, I knew better. I should have done differently. Don't stay stuck there. Okay, this misstep or mishap came along. How do I address it? How do I fix it? Decide, redirect, and start chipping away at it. You may not get it all done in a day. You may not get it all done in a month, but just setting your intention, writing down the goal, setting the different action steps in place, and just working at it daily. Um, yeah, and working through the setbacks. You can't control how other people react to your goals. It's not their goal. Some people are there to try to discourage you. Just pray for guidance and that the helpers, the destiny helpers, will show up to assist and get you to where you're trying to go. Uh, I promise you, believe it. This is something that works. It has worked for me immensely in so many ways. Um, and I'll share more of my testimony or my journey as we go along. I just, this is a brief introduction or introductory overview of kind of where we are, where we're going. So, yeah. Number 8, gets us into envy, curiosity, and aspiration. So now we're getting back to where these can work both in a positive and a negative way, right? So we have to just be mindful. What is driving that feeling? Um, is the envy that, oh, I wish I had that, or is it, I should have that? Two different things, but it's the same emotion, right? One of those is kind of like an admiration of sorts, and makes you feel like, okay, um, I need to get my stuff together. I need to step my game, as opposed to giving a person the side eye for something that you don't even know how they came by it, right? How dare you kind of minimize what they're doing by envying them. So curiosity can be a positive thing. It can also be negative, right? You just have to be mindful of who you approach, who you're talking to, who you seek advice or information from, just to make sure you validate your source so that you're getting on the right path. Sometimes asking the wrong person can lead you down a road where you're losing money, you're acting blindly and misinformed. And so this is why I always recommend reading, researching things on your own as well, so that you're well informed, so that no one can really manipulate you in that sense. So there is that. And aspiration, of course, positive, but you don't want to be unrealistic, right? Some people aspire, let's say, to be a doctor, but they're thinking, okay, that'll happen in like a year or two. That's not realistic. We have to set realistic goals. We have to be realistic about our timelines and the different steps and commitment that it's going to take for us to accomplish those things. Then we move to number nine. Number nine is where you're starting to get back to the good side of things, right? Now you're having hope, you're having desire, and you're having resolve, meaning that you are in a space where you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You're believing that there's better to come. You're starting to dream again. You're starting to want to make that positive effort. Maybe something great happened down here in eight that really kicked your, you into drive or out of neutral, where you're now like, okay, I can do this, let me recommit to myself and my journey and really get some things in motion. Maybe your goal is as simple as getting an apartment or getting a car or getting a job to fund those things, right? And you got that call after that first interview, and you're now excited and motivated that this is now a dream that can be realized because you're moving forward. And so, yeah, that's definitely a positive and something that you want to hold on to. And then we move from nine to 10. Now you're believing in life again. You have love in your heart and you want to share love. You are courageous. You are now committed. You're committing to yourself, you're committing to others, you're committing to your future. It's a great way to motivate yourself to get up daily and say, okay, I can do this. Let's go to the next step. Now we get into 11. 11, you're feeling joy, you're thrilled, you're feeling excitement. Maybe you're now dating and, on the job that you really just enjoy what you do. You feel like you're closer to your purpose. You're just happy overall. And now you're setting more goals, right? And challenging yourself. You're seeing that the method is working. You're seeing that goal setting is working in your favor and you've overcome obstacles, right? Not that everything has been perfect, but when issues have come up, you've committed to the process. And even though you may have gotten back to a seven, you were able to work your emotional compass wheel and get yourself back. And now, instead of landing only at 10, you've landed at 11. And this is where now you're in control. You're in control. You understand your emotions, you understand yourself, and you've gotten to the plateau of exhilaration and overall happiness. This is where we want to be. You want to be able to go from here to here. So from six, hopefully you never get that low ever again, right? You can catch yourself before you even get down to seven, right? Catch yourself, you recognize those negative emotions, those things are coming back, and you're like, okay, I need to rework this. Maybe I need to do more meditation. Maybe I need to do more goal setting. Maybe I need to even sit with a vision board and revisit and see what I've accomplished so far. Feeling good about where you were and how far you've come is a great way to kickstart you back into your wheel where you can go directly from a seven all the way to 12, feeling exhilarated and happy again. All right, so we've gone over this wheel. I now want us to take a quick step back and go to our previous. So this is going to be our emotional wheel. This one it looks overwhelming. It looks like a lot, but really it ties in pretty much everything that we just went over, but it just goes into more detail. right? So for my people who loves to kind of have a sticking point, I would even recommend printing this out, having it on the wall, having those pins to kind of stick in it and kind of just go around the wheel and see where you are at and just be honest with yourself and work through the different things that come up. So we have things on the inside, right? The inliers, the things that are the actual emotion, right? And then we have things that drive those emotions. So I want us to talk about that. So on the inside, we have vigilance, ecstasy, admiration, terror, amazement, grief, loathing. Not sure if I said rage already, but we'll say it again because that's a big one. And then we have the things that kind of stem off of that, right? These leaves stem off of that. And then we have the outliers, the different things or situations that can truly contribute to all of these. And we want to be mindful of them, right? This is the mindfulness piece of it. So let's talk about the outliers and the stems. So the stems for grief, right, would be sadness and pensiveness, meaning like you're in a space where you're just feeling real sad and just serious and just you're not someone that can be penetrated or people can get through to, right? So that sadness and pensiveness that all ties in with grief. On the other side of that, right, is surprise, sadness, disapproval. So there's things that are contributing to you feeling that way. You had an event that really caught you off guard. Something happened negative that made you fall into that space. Someone passed away, someone got sick, relationship ended, or you're feeling like you just don't fit in. You don't have the approval of those around you, or you're not approving of things that are going on around you. And then on the other side of that, you have sadness, disgust, and remorse. Something happened, you did something, you're upset about it, you're not happy, you are over yourself, you're disgusted with yourself, you regret it. All of that ties in here. Then we go over to loathing, disgust, and boredom. Again, this can tie into here, and then we come over to disgust, anger, and contempt. And so you can feel all these emotions towards yourself, and you can feel it towards others. So you want to measure and just be mindful of how you're feeling towards you, because again, love starts with self. And if you're not feeling it for you, it's very hard to feel it for others and to project that. And that's both in personal, professional, and spiritual relationships. Moving on to rage. It ties in with anger and annoyance. So people get on your nerves, you're not liking anyone, you're thoroughly frustrated, and it's very easy for that to escalate into rage, which is so negative. It's not a space that we want to be in or be in for long. That ties into anticipation, anger, and aggressiveness, right? So those that we may see that present as overly aggressive, there's not really one trigger or something that made them feel that way. They just really are that way all the time. Uh, those are things that we want to recognize in ourselves, definitely recognize it in others and protect yourself. Um, and just not fall prey to that for you or for others. Vigilance. There's levels of anticipation that come with that and interest. Vigilance can be positive, it can work to your benefit, right? To say, oh, I'm vigilant about things, meaning I like to be on top of things, I like to get things done. It can be a positive thing, but it can also cause you anticipation and make you angry with those around you who maybe don't share that level of interest as you. And so it's very important to be mindful of that and manage that well. All right. Then we get into ecstasy. positive thing, right? Ecstasy ties into joy and serenity, positive. Serenity, interest, optimism, that's getting us back into a positive space where we're being hopeful about the future. We're seeing, a future. We're having dreams again. We're having a hope for everything coming together. It may have been something positive that really got us in that space. Maybe you met someone new and they're making you feel some level of interest in love again, right? And you're in a space of really just planning for a future. Like, okay, I can do this. Um, yeah, things are gonna work out well. And then we get into the other side of that, which is the joy, the trust, and the love. Of course, this is where everyone would love to be all the time, but it's just not realistic, right? But we practice this daily by avoiding these areas. We're able to really just experience these levels. We go around to admiration, trust, and acceptance. That's both internal and external. You're admiring yourself, you're admiring others, you're able to be trusting and accepting of others, and you are able to use fear in a positive way. And it allows you to be able to be in submission, submitting to yourself and others, and even submitting to your journey and the ability to love, to feel, to be successful, right? Submission to your financial goals, submission to your spiritual goals, and submission to just your whole process. That's important. Okay. Falling into terror, fear, apprehension. It's a light spot, right? But it's still something you want to be aware of because it's leading you more towards now our negative space where we're coming from. That's not where we want to be. So just be mindful. You want to ask yourself, what is it that's causing me to feel this way? Do I only feel this way when I get around a certain person? Do I only feel this way when I get in certain situations? Be mindful of them, recognize them, validate them, and get out of it. It's not where you need to be. Continuing in this state is what leads to anxiety. It's going to lead to just you being not your best self. And that's not what you want, right? Then we move into amazement, surprise, and distraction. Again, it can be positive and it can be negative. Amazement, you may encounter something that you're like, oh wow, that's great, but you don't want to get stuck there, right? You can't live your life and truly experience and appreciate something if you're always just in awe of it. You have to move past the awe. How do I now pull this into my day to day and make it work for me where I'm not just stuck in this dazzled phase? Very important. Surprise. Me personally, I don't like surprises. Surprises are nice. It's nice for someone to say, oh, yeah, I surprised you with a gift. But then again, what if I am so shocked that I have a heart attack, right? And so, you know, in that sense, I'm not a huge fan of surprise, but it has its place, I would say. And so, again, we just have to be mindful. What is the context and how does it affect us? And we have to be aware of that, be honest and open about it, communicate, and yeah, have it work for our benefit. Of course, distraction, sometimes a positive distraction is good, right? For our workaholics, you don't want to always be in go mode. You want to have those positive experiences that pull you away from work and just get you in a space where you're feeling light and able to experience life and enjoy, right? So distractions can be good and they can be bad. You don't want to be distracted all the time and not functioning and doing the things you're supposed to do. And so, again, all of this just brings us to being aware, and using these different thoughts, feelings, and emotions to our benefit, so that it works out in our favor. All right, so there's a lot of detail, a lot to go over, but I definitely just wanted to spend the time to introduce it and kind of explain how to use it, because this is going to be something, again, that you commit to using daily. The last topic I'm going to touch on, which is huge for everything that we are going to be doing on our journey. Again, I encourage you to revisit this video as needed. This is going to be like your guide or your compass through this process of understanding, um, yeah, how to use this self-help tool and growth tool to really just evolve and grow and be your best self. So we want to talk about healthy relationships. What are healthy relationships? What do they look like? I'm not just talking about the romantic relationships. I'm not just talking about friendships. I'm definitely not just talking about family relationships, but I'm also talking about professional. This can be applied in all those areas, right? At the very core of any healthy relationship is respect. If you don't have this centerpiece functioning well, none of these outliers are going to work or make sense. Or it's going to be very one sided, right? I've always said I'm not a fan of one way streets, don't like them. You know, it's one way in, one way out. Someone makes a wrong turn, you get stuck. You know, it's a recipe for disaster. So I avoid one way streets at all costs, and I recommend others to do the same. Definitely true when it comes to relationships, right? All right. So we want to start with accountability. When you are functioning from a core or a foundation of respect, you're accountable. You admit your mistakes. You admit when you're wrong. You admit when something did not go well. You admit when, okay, you know what, I was supposed to pour 2 tablespoons of sugar, but I ended up pouring 1 teaspoon instead because I misread the directions. That's something you want to admit and say up front, right? You don't want to just keep doing that over and over and over again and just try to cover it up. Uh, you may have just ruined a whole batter. I need to know that up front so I can address it and fix it, so we're not just going ahead and creating 100 cakes from batter that doesn't have enough sugar in it, and then customers are disgruntled and unhappy, and I end up losing a lot of business. Could have all just been avoided had you admitted something went wrong and given us the opportunity to fix or address it, right? And so that's an extreme example, but it is kind of truly how it works. That would be on a professional or business standpoint. In personal relationships, of course, that can really just be costly, right? It can cause, loss of trust, loss of safety. They all tie in. So at the top with respect is accountability. Accepting responsibility for your behaviors. Don't make excuses. Um, Having a good attitude about things allows you to be accountable. And then having great values, right? A value system of respect will cause you to be accountable. So if someone is not good at taking responsibility, they probably don't have a good foundation of value of respect. Probably. All right, so we can move on to the left side of that in trust, right? Accepting each other, right? If someone says, "Okay, I'm gonna show up at 2:45, so we can go over details of this project," you're there, you're ready for 2:45, no show. Will that ever be someone you trust again? Probably not, right? Because if I was accepting of your word and believed you based on your word and you did not come through, you have now disrupted my ability to trust. Um, yes, I should trust you up front. I gave you that trust up front because I showed up, but then you didn't show up, which now has affected that, right? So I gave the benefit of the doubt, which is what it talks about here. Being able to trust is given the benefit of the doubt. But once you showed me otherwise, that benefit is then taken away, right? I no longer trust you. And so that's kind of how we have to think about it and process it, right? We're not just thinking of ourselves, we're thinking about respect for ourselves, others, and our environment. And in thinking that and being accountable, we have to understand how our actions affect that trust. All right, moving on to cooperation. If your core value is respect, you are a cooperative person. Again, you're not functioning from a place of self only. You are going to do what it takes to be a part of the team, to contribute, right? You're asking questions, you're communicating, you're not just expecting, like, no one is your mind reader, right? Say what you need, say what you want, say what you hope, and hopefully we can work through, right? When I understand what you want or need in a situation, I'm better able to meet your expectation. But if you're expecting and just not asking questions, it's never going to work, right? And so we want to be mindful of that in all of our relationships. Don't think that because I do this, my boss is going to be pleased. Just the fact that I show up. No, not only should you show up, right? Because you expect a check. So obviously you should show up, but you should do the work and do it well. Taking pride in yourself, having respect for self, respect for the situation, the job, and others will make you not just only show up, but really put your best foot forward and really be a contributor, right? And so it works both ways. Um, be accepting of change. Being cooperative is accepting of change. You may have come in thinking that, okay, we're supposed to be folding clothes today. Okay, someone was an overachiever and they folded all the clothes. So now we're going to switch gears and now we need to pack boxes. Guess what? You're scheduled to work, you're going to get paid. We're packing boxes. It should not be very hard. You should not be very resistive unless it's something that's just way outside the box that's really going to put you in harm's way. Be cooperative and get it done. Sometimes a change is necessary, and as long as it's communicated, it's okay to adjust and do as is needed. Now we move into making decisions together. It's so important to include others and be okay with including others and collaborating, right? Being cooperative. Our way is not the only way. Our way is not only the best way. Um, so it's important to be inclusive. Make room for others as you make room for you. And the universe actually opens up to you so much more when you're in that space of making room for others. And so it's okay to be in a mindset of working together. Um, I'm not a huge fan of teamwork just because of my own experiences, where I feel there are those who tend to just want to sit back and do nothing but get the credit. But I love situations where people come to the table with their own ideas and are willing to do the work and contribute. It makes for a beautiful relationship. That's where you're able to create and make something new. And so I'm a huge fan of um, decision making together. In personal relationships, what that looks like is a lot of communicating, a lot of being able to compromise and see it comes down here, being willing to compromise, Okay, so take a part of what I think or my idea and put it together with yours, and we meet in the middle. For some people, they think compromise means that it throws my idea out the door and we have to go with the other person's idea. That's not compromise. That's self-sabotage, or discrediting, or putting your thoughts, feelings, and needs aside. That is not healthy. Over time, that's going to start to eat away at you, and you just won't be your best self. And so I don't recommend it. That's not a good strategy to being one who compromises. True compromise takes communication, working together, and meeting in the middle. All right. It creates a win-win situation in any conflict. Very important to understand that cooperation at the end of the day, the goal is a win-win solution for everyone. All right. Moving on into support. The best way to show that you respect someone is to be supportive. Be supportive of their thoughts, be supportive of their feelings, be supportive of their vision. Just be supportive, right? You support the choices that are being made. Support is not, why are you doing that? Support is more, okay, can you help me understand what made you look at it that way, or made you want to do it that way? It's you seeking to understand, right? So here we go, being understanding. It's you asking questions that are not going to be an attack, but really just uh, showing interest, right? And just wanting to really get to the bottom of why someone is in the space that they are, and not in a defensive mode, but really just seeking to be there for them and see how you can be a help. Offering encouragement, huge, right? You may not be able to contribute to the process, right? You may not be able to help them along their journey in the ways that they may end up needing help, but just you being encouraging and saying, you know what, that's a great thing. Oh, I hope it really works out for you for the better. And, maybe I can look up some resources that can be of help, even though I can't directly help. That's something that's going to be a huge encouragement to the person because they feel true support, right? And so that's so important. Again, you give it out and you get it back. You listen in a non-judgmental way. We kind of touched on that already, right? Just being open and allowing this person to be who they are in that space, not being judgmental or thinking any negative thoughts towards their goals or what they're doing. You want to value others' opinions. Very important. People aren't going to see things the same way you do. This is definitely a part for me that I constantly try to work on. Um, I tend to um, evaluate things. So being a big picture person, I'll look at the 10 angles already, even though someone may be at step one. And so I've had to teach myself how to just be patient and kind of hear someone out and understand where they're coming from and see things from their eyes, or allow them to at least give me some kind of explanation or insight on what they're thinking, where they were going with that, and being in, again, the collaborative mode from over here, right? um, so that I'm not minimizing their thoughts and feelings, but just seeking to be understanding, right? And that moves us into honesty. For all of this to work, you have to be honest, you have to be open, you have to be communicating. You cannot sit there and expect someone to go off of reading your actions or reading your facial expressions. That can at times be misleading. I always say I make faces when I think. It may not be that I'm thinking anything bad or negative, but I'm processing, right? Someone seeing that who doesn't know me, doesn't understand me, even people who do, may read into that. And so it's important to use your words and kind of express, okay, what your thoughts are, what you're feeling and thinking in that moment, so that someone can understand you and know that you're still in the mode of respect and support and cooperation, right? Because all of that again ties into your trust and you being accountable. So this whole wheel truly works together, guys. And on to safety. All of this working together will cause people to feel safe. Feel safe talking to you, feel safe being around you. Just feel safe knowing that, okay, I can count on this person to show up. I can count on this person to be their best selves. I can count on this person to not judge me. I can openly communicate with them because I now feel safe and feel comfortable, right? And so that's what it goes into in these bullet points here. Refusing to intimidate or manipulate. Never um, take someone for granted and turn to these negative resolutions to intimidate them or manipulate. It's never a good power move at all. It's actually a weak move to become a manipulator because you see that someone trusts you and feels safe with you. You have to respect physical space, right? Don't violate people's personal space. It is very important, and that's both physically and even emotionally, right? Don't overstep. Ask permission to enter certain conversations or certain territories, right? Because I feel safe with you on a personal standpoint doesn't mean that you get to know every single detail about me in that way. Allow me to show you that side or to invite you into that. Never assume and overstep, right? Boundaries are important. And know how to express yourself non-violently. That's a part of ensuring safety for yourself and safety for others. Um, yeah, just be in control of your emotions. It's never okay to really act out. There are times that may warrant it, but again, being in control of who you are, what you do, is part of just self-respect and respect for others and your environment, of course, and just to avoid situations that would disrupt that. All right. So between these three tools, honestly, you have all that you need to kind of navigate through anything that comes up, whether you're someone who's experiencing um, illnesses, someone that's experiencing a change in relationship status, um, financial status, career status, just all of these things. You can use these tools to help navigate. So I'm gonna run into a few videos. They're pretty long. We don't have a ton of time to touch into everything today. But I do want to at least include some of them. Of course, you can reference back to the page, get the links, and you're able to watch them on your own time as well. I recommend even doing 5 minutes of it per day. Definitely worth it. And revisiting them as needed. So the first one I'm going to go into is words are power. Understanding how to use our words effectively so that they're working for us and not against us.
This 5-day detox is
I want to remind y'all of the power of the mind. You can think yourself into a depression. You can think your way into stress. You can think your way into misery, frustration. There's so much more power in the mind than you probably like to give yourself credit for. Change your mind. Decide that you love yourself enough to not surround yourself with people, things, and situations that can have your mind continuing to spiral down this negative and dysfunctional train.
Once I feed you with an idea that you are susceptible to something, look, I can feed you with an idea that this pill that we just got from the pharmaceutical company, it's the greatest, best thing for your issue. And I give you this pill and you get better. And then later you find out it was a sugar pill and everybody goes, yeah, that's called the placebo effect. And I go, what does it really mean? I said, you didn't get healed by the pill, you got healed by the belief in the pill. And I go, well, yeah, that's what placebo is all about. And at least 1/3, minimum of 1/3 of all medical intervention is, it's a placebo effect where the healing comes from. Everybody goes, yeah, I know about the placebo. I go, yeah, but that's a result of positive thinking. What about negative thinking? And this is what we don't talk about, but the reality is it's equally powerful in regard to affecting your biology as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. A negative thought is called the nocebo effect. Can cause any disease and you can die. If you believe you're gonna die, you can die from the belief. So we really have to watch out because as psychologists would tell us, 70% or more of our thoughts are negative and redundant, replaying the same negative thoughts. I go, if thoughts had nothing to do with it, fine. But thoughts, positive or negative, shape our biology. And all of a sudden it says, well, now it's time to wake up because our negative thinking is manifesting a negative life experience.
Words are extremely powerful. You actually create your own laws and limitations for yourself, using the words that you use most often. The greatest teacher to ever live, the carpenter from the plains of Galilee, once said, by your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. He understood the spiritual properties words possessed. Rumor has it, the prime creator actually spoke the universe into existence, also known as cymatics or vibration. And remember, you are a piece of the creator and possess the same creative qualities. Never use phrases like, this is killing me, or this makes me sick. Though lighthearted, those are actual commands that are stirring energy in motion.
From the fruit of their mouth, a person's stomach is filled. With the harvest of their lips, they are satisfied. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit.
International
Brainy Dose presents How to Master Your Emotions, Emotional Intelligence. Learning how to master your emotions is essential if you want to live a life that you alone can direct completely. Having absolute control and power over your feelings in any given moment is one of the greatest skill sets you can master. It's important to realize that whatever emotion you feel, you're not feeling it because you have to. You're feeling it because you choose to. That's right. You are the source of all of your emotions because you're the one who creates them. You can feel any way you choose at any given time. You don't need to have any specific reason to feel good. You can decide to just feel good right now, in this very moment, simply because you're alive or because you want to. Having said that, there are 3 individual forces that influence the way you interpret and determine what you feel. These 3 forces have the ability to create any and every emotional state. If you want to learn how to master your emotions and choose which ones you feel consciously, you must first learn to understand these forces and how to use them to your advantage. Number 1, physiology. Whatever you may be feeling right now is directly influenced by how you move your body. For example, keeping your head down and avoiding upright posture would nudge you closer to feeling depressed. With this in mind, whenever you feel negative, you can hold your head up high, pull your shoulders back, and take some deep breaths. The ability to put yourself in a resourceful state at will is a trait we all have. Using your physiology to determine your state of mind will help you make stronger decisions and improve your confidence. This will help keep you calm when you have to make a decision in an uncertain situation. Number 2, language. Language is something that comes in various and extensive forms, and one of these forms is your inner monologue, or the things you say to yourself mentally. Language can deeply influence your emotional state. For example, asking yourself, "Why does this always happen to me?" will create a negative state of mind. But if you were to ask, "How can I benefit from this?" then you would see that it provides a more positive state of mind. The words you speak are constantly playing a key role in your personal interpretation of a situation and how that situation will affect your emotional state. If you find yourself feeling negative or down about something, take a closer look at your language and how it could be influencing your emotional state of mind. How can you change your language to turn your negative emotions into positive and empowering ones? Number 3, focus. Where focus goes, energy flows, and results show. Simply put, your whole life is controlled by what you decide to focus on. Thus, it is extremely important to focus on where you want to go and what you want to do, not what you fear. Next time you find yourself wallowing in a state of uncertainty, try to focus on what you can do in the situation and how you can act to move yourself toward a more positive outcome. Influencing your emotions like this will bring you less negativity and much more positivity. You'll then be able to make tough decisions and unlock your greatest potential to enjoy your life in every given moment. Now that you understand the 3 major forces that determine your emotional state, here are the 7 steps to emotional mastery. Step 1. Identify your emotion. The first step toward emotional mastery is being able to identify the emotion you are experiencing. This is important because uncertainty about the type of emotion you're experiencing will have you in a struggle to respond accordingly. To help you learn how to better identify your emotion, ask yourself the following questions. What am I feeling right now? Am I really feeling this, or is there something more? The more clarity you have and the more you work on identifying your emotions, the more you will have to work with as you move through this process. Step 2. Appreciate your emotion. Resisting the emotion you feel is not healthy and can prove to make things a lot more difficult in your day-to-day life. In fact, resisting your emotion can cause uncertainty and prevent you from using the emotion to your advantage. On the other hand, appreciating the emotion you experience can help turn it into something you can use and work with as you move forward. Thus, openly acknowledging your feelings and searching for their potential meaning and significance is truly important. For example, maybe something suddenly came up and made you feel frustrated or stressed. Instead of fighting the frustration, try to acknowledge that you're frustrated and what specific circumstance made you feel that way. Once you are able to acknowledge your emotion and openly study it, you will be ready to move on to the next stage. Step 3. Analyze your emotion. One of the most important things you can do at this stage is get curious. Curiosity opens new doors to different perspectives and opportunities. It helps you gain unique insight to your emotion and the circumstances you find yourself in. Becoming curious about the emotion you're feeling may lead you to ask yourself the following questions. What does this emotion offer me? What is this emotion's true value? In what ways does this emotion serve me? What can I do to make things better? How can I get the outcome I want? What do I really feel and desire? How can I learn from this to better my future?
Do you sometimes find the fear of what could happen is making nothing happen in your life? If so,
remember that emotions are felt for certain reasons, so you're likely feeling this emotion because it will beneficially serve you in some way. Emotions can teach you valuable lessons about yourself and your circumstances. Therefore, you must be open to finding necessary answers to help you insightfully overcome the emotional roadblocks you are working through. Step 4. Get confident that you can handle emotion. If you want to gain more control over your emotion, you need to learn how to be certain and consciously choose the emotional responses you experience while moving forward. It is also important to learn what you can about your emotions so you can manage your emotional responses more effectively. If you have trouble with this process, try remembering a time in the past when you handled a similar emotion. How did you successfully use that emotion to your advantage? This memory can be used as a foundation to help you pave a path toward a better future where your emotions no longer control your life. Instead, you consciously choose to respond with an emotion that can help the situation in a proactive way. Step 5. Forgive your emotional triggers. Emotional triggers can be people, places, or things that trigger you to feel a certain way. These may also include your friends, family, coworkers, and even yourself. Maybe you feel sudden waves of anger when your friend does something you just can't stand. Or you get a sharp, aching feeling when you remember a situation where you could have done something differently. Learning how to forgive yourself and others for things that may have triggered your emotion will prove to be key in helping you detach yourself from the problems that accompanied them. The resentment, jealousy, or anger lingering inside you will ultimately disappear if you can detach yourself from the trigger. Learn how to allow people to simply be who they are without letting your emotions escalate and bring on negativity. Step 6. See the bigger picture. Try to look at it this way. Everything that happens in our lives, whether it be good or bad, happens for a reason. Being able to analyze past moments and discern the greater meaning of a given situation means you have mastered the art of wisdom. It may be difficult to understand at first, but as time goes by, you will begin to see a bigger picture for everything in your life. Even in the midst of an emotionally upsetting moment, trust that it serves an ultimate purpose, and everything will fall in perfect order. Step 7. Take action. Now that you have the information and knowledge needed to be able to respond to your emotion in a healthy manner, it's time to take proactive action to transform your emotional state for the better. The final step is to be excited. You can now easily take control of your emotion and prove that you have the capability to handle it. All in all, the way you respond to the events and circumstances in your life is what makes the real difference. You are always in full control of your emotions, no matter how tough it may seem. You can choose to feel differently and consciously control your emotional state. Thus, nobody is to blame because you yourself influence your emotions from the inside out. Besides, why let yourself become crippled by negative emotions when you can use them as an insightful source for positive action? Mastering emotional intelligence is important, and over time, using these techniques will help you do just that. Once you have completely taken control of how your emotions affect you and how you can change them, they will effectively serve as
Right below this video is a link. Don't click
All right, so thank you so much for joining. For those of you who will be watching this later on, thank you for tuning in. Just wanted to again do a quick introductory podcast to kind of give us the tools and give us visuals to work with as we go along and go through this process together. Um, we're gonna do one last thing before we go. That's gonna be kind of like a relaxation, a cool down. We've had a ton of information um, so far, so we kind of want to scale back, cool it down, and use a star advantage, right? And so again, thank you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be our calm down and meditation. You can listen to this as much as you would like. Use it to your advantage. I would say daily, even nightly, as needed. And other calming tools are available on Visu app. That's VISU APP. You can download it. You're able to create your vision board there. It's interactive, right? You have something at your fingertips at any given moment. You can check off goals as you accomplish them. You can add new ones as you are inspired to, and just really make this an active working thing that you continually add to and use as your checkpoint. All right, so here goes our calming and relaxation activity for today. Again, thank you for joining us. Please do remember to find us on Spotify. That's going to be Affairs of the Heart Talks on Spotify. I'll go ahead and drop the links in as well. We're also available for you on a couple other platforms, which I will share, but please do follow us on Facebook. You will have all the links and updates there as well. It's AOTH Talks on Facebook, or just type in Affairs of the Heart and you'll find us. Please do like us and follow the page so you'll get all the updates and notifications when we go live, when we have new episodes post. It's going to be a journey, guys. And if you commit to it, if you come on it with me, I promise you, you will see growth. You will benefit going forward. So again, I thank you and look forward to future casts along with you. I'll add everything in the link here as this video is shared.
If you feel kind of
without surrender, beyond good terms. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, It is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy.
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you so much for being a part. Thank you so much for joining. And we'll do this again. I'll have all your links here in the chat. Please be sure to copy, save it, take note of it. Like I said, reference this back as needed for all your tools and your links for our future Zooms. It will only get better from here. And again, I thank you for tuning in and see you next time. Happy New Year, everyone, and all the best on your journey towards being your best self. See you in 2021.